Hey everybody, Coach Toolshed here. Today we're going to have a serious video, so everybody gather around, listen up close. We're going to have a very serious discussion today. So today we're going to discuss something that has been going on recently in the news, something that continues to evolve over the last couple of days. And of course, something I've been covering and many people have been covering over the last couple of days, and it's the issue involving the Epic Game Store and the indie developer who got themselves into a massive firestorm of public controversy. However, I don't want to talk about all the ins and outs and the nuts and bolts of that scenario as it's been unfolding. I want to take this in a completely different direction, but we're going to be kind of talking about them briefly here at the start as I launch into the deeper discussion. So just bear with me, because like I said, just a few hours ago, this situation is still evolving, because the developer earlier today, just a few hours ago, put out another article. And what we have here is a situation of someone who just doesn't know when it's time to maybe batten down the hatches and just keep quiet for a little bit. This is certainly one of those situations, and yet the developer just can't seem to keep his mouth shut. So the developer came out today and wrote a lengthy article, and first things first, I should mention that some of the things I was talking about yesterday, saying, well, how come we don't have any of this evidence of any hateful posts that we've seen? Well, in the article today, he did post some of these screenshots they had taken that are purported to show some of the hate mail that they received. And yes, there was some pretty nasty stuff in there. I'm not sure I would say anything that is necessarily a death threat like people are trying to say. But yes, there was some definitely nasty stuff being tossed about if those are in fact legitimate. However, during the course of the article, what he did, he tried to double down on the narrative that everything he said in his original post is just kind of a joke, a sarcastic misrepresentation that has happened here, and people have really just mistaken his tone for something that it's not, and it wasn't intended to be an attack on gamers. And that's sort of how the first part of the article goes into it. But then by the second half, we realize that what this developer has to say is totally false, because then he goes in and starts discussing how the fact is he's not actually going to apologize in any way for anything that he said, because it was an attack on entitled gamers and toxic gamers, and he instead doubled and tripled down once again on the rhetoric that gamers who disagree with him, gamers who have a problem with the Epic Game Store, patrons who might have an issue with his game, those are people who just don't want to support his game anyway, and they are just entitled, toxic, crybaby gamers. So he just went back to the same rhetoric he's been pitching all along. Now, what I want to discuss is not this developer, and I don't want to discuss anything about the Epic Game Store. We've discussed that for the last couple of days, and there's been plenty of talk about that all throughout the internet. I think the subject is kind of worn thin, but I want to tackle this from an angle that, quite frankly, I don't know that I've ever actually seen anyone cover. I want to discuss this issue of gamer entitlement, and not in the way that it gets bandied about all the time, not in the way of, well, I'm entitled to a fully made product with no bugs that runs well and all that. I'm not talking about necessarily the customer relation side of things. I'm going to get a little bit deeper than that, because I got a comment in my comment section on my last video, and it pretty much articulated exactly what I was thinking when I was making that video, and that is that basically we're at the point now where a developer can say whatever they want about gamers, and the games media can say whatever they want about gamers. And if gamers react, well, then it gets turned around like, see, why are you guys so sensitive? Why can't, we attacked you a little bit. Yeah, sure, but why are you guys so sensitive? Why are you always acting so entitled and sensitive? But then if gamers go on the attack against a developer or a member of the media, well, then the media just circles the wagons around these people, and it turns into, oh, this is a vicious hate mob coming after these people. And so that's pretty much exactly what happens. And so I started thinking about this, and what I came up with was, see, when a developer or a media member goes out in the public sphere and says something that is just crazy, just way out of line, something that really ruffles the feathers of the general gaming population, well, what happens is the gamers turn focus, and all of the gamers' ire and focus goes on to that one direction. And in video game type terms, I guess you could say it's like the gamers have a sniper rifle aiming at whoever the target is. And that is the problem. is that all of the laser focus is just precision laser guided right on that one target. And so if they feel the weight of that pressure, and they claim that it's targeted harassment. But when it comes to gamers, it's a totally different issue. See, gamers don't get that laser focus. Individual gamers don't get that sniper rifle laser focus pointed at them. Instead, the media and certain developers who choose to antagonize the gamers as well, they kind of have a widespread shotgun blast. And they just indiscriminately just start blasting away at whoever the targets might be in front of them. And sure, there might be one or two people that they're actually aiming at, but instead they end up blasting everybody. And all the gamers actually get caught up in the blast. And so this is not just a situation where there's a brief moment of outrage, maybe a week or two goes by, maybe even a month, where a particular developer or a member of the media might get focused down and gets all of the attention and all of the anger directed at them. And like I said in my last video, I know when you get a bunch of hate mail, like, yeah, it sucks. It is not fun. But those storms pass. But the thing is, when it comes to gamers and people who have been playing games for a long time, maybe people have been playing back since the 70s. Now, I wasn't playing games in the 70s, but I know there's people that were playing games in the 70s, and if you've been around that long, you would know as well that when it comes to, say, identifying as a gamer, I know that that's sort of taboo. You're not supposed to identify as a gamer. There's something wrong with that, and that is part of the issue. Because, see, people that identify as gamers, people that enjoy this as our primary hobby, that love the medium of video games, we get mocked and ridiculed for that, and this has been going on for literally decades. You have the mainstream news media saying that gamers are violent, we're prone to violent outbursts and stuff like that. You have politicians blaming us for huge tragedies across the nation, and this has been going on. Politicians have been blaming video games and gamers since the 80s. This has been going on for 35, almost 40 years of gamers getting non-stop attacked just from the news media and politicians, let alone the fact that a lot of times people's families will mock them. Why are you spending all your time in your room playing a video game? You get made fun of when you're a little kid if you're into video games. Even when you're an adult, you'll have your friends, why don't you come out on Friday night? What, are you going to play that stupid game? Well, yeah, I kind of want to play the stupid game. Maybe I don't want to go hang out at the bar. Sorry, guys. But you get made fun of from your friends. And then you get made fun of from the game's journalists when they turn around and they castigate all gamers as toxic and entitled. And then the publishers, of course, constantly lying to us, trying to manipulate us, purposely trying to bilk money out of us in a manipulative way. And there's no denying that that's going on. And then you have a certain segment of developers. Now, in my last video, I might have made it seem like maybe all developers, including indie developers, have it out to get us. That's not the intention I came across. I don't think that every game developer has it out to get gamers, but there are certainly and undeniably a contingent of developers, and you can find them on Twitter and different forums all over the internet, that certainly do have a major problem with people who are quote-unquote gamers. And so when you have gamers who are constantly ducking pot shots left, right, and center, 360 degrees, 24/7, every day for decades on end. Like, if you've been gaming since you were a little kid, you've been being told that you are a subhuman piece of garbage because you play video games. That's how they treat people that are gamers. We get mocked and ridiculed in movies and television shows. It doesn't matter. Even now, in 2019, when gaming is probably at its most societally accepted that it's ever been, you're still an outcast if you're a gamer. Even though there's hundreds of millions of us worldwide, it doesn't matter. You're still an other. And the game developers and the games journalists who refer to us in that way, they refer to us as gamers. Remember, I said the other day, Jason Schreier got really mad on Twitter because people kept calling themselves consumers, because they don't want to look at us like we're actually consumers. They want to put that label of gamers on us, even though we take it upon ourselves. They want to use it as a pejorative and use it as a totally negative name. You're a gamer. We don't have to take you seriously. You're not a real consumer. We can treat you however you want. And gamers just constantly are getting barraged for stuff that they never did. That's the point I was trying to make earlier. If a developer makes a fool out of themselves and the public backlash comes back at them, while yes, the backlash can be way out of hand and there's certain people that go crazy with it. That's the point. It's a small amount of people that go crazy. But it's focused all on people who actually did something to cause the problem. When it comes to these random, crazy pot shots that get taken at gamers constantly by everyone, it's for stuff that we didn't actually do. A couple of people are bad actors. Out of the hundreds of millions of gamers, there's some bad actors. And they ruin it for everybody. And you hear, oh, gamers want you to police your own community. How do you suggest we do that? We have no control over all of the people on the planet. But a development team of 2, they kind of have control over the message they send. Even a big development team, you can keep that in-house and have a united message. But gamers can't control what some random lunatic might say or message to a developer. But instead, all gamers, anyone who has a problem with a developer now, and now after this latest incident with the Epic Game Store, anyone who has a problem with the Epic Game Store is going to be lumped in with the hateful gamers. And yes, you want to know something crazy? I've already seen comment threads in the more psychotic areas of the internet saying that this is somehow Gamergate related. If you have a problem with the Epic Store, they're equating it in some places to Gamergate. This is already where we're at. And of course, some people in the media are going to are more than willing to push that narrative. And this is where it spirals out of control. This is a way where no actual critique of anything can happen. Because if you start to criticize it, you get lumped in with some sort of hate mob, which is a small, tiny fraction of people who go over the line, who don't keep it in any way respectful, who go after and target these people. They say they got thousands of messages. Yes, that's a lot. But there's hundreds of millions of gamers, and they're all taking pot shots from the media too, who had nothing to do with it. You're blasting 99% of people who had nothing to do with any of it. And that's my point. And once again, the gamers just keep ducking shots. When's it going to stop? You guys have to stop with this mentality. I'm not talking people listening here, I guess. I'm talking to games journalists and the angry developers, the people who are angry at us, the ones who have a chip on our shoulder. You have to understand one thing. Throughout all of the decades, literal decades worth of pot shots that gamers have been taking, one thing has remained constant. Gamers still line up with cash in hand, willing and ready to throw it at anyone who gives them a great video game. Concentrate on that. Stop trying to antagonize your customer base and then trying to be like, see, I told you they were going to get mad when I spit in their face. That's not a prediction. You know what's going to happen. Gamers are agitated. Yeah, gamers are mad. We can be a rowdy bunch and we can certainly do a plenty of bitching and moaning. But that's because, like I said, we are constantly getting it from all angles. So to act like we're entitled and to act like we're somehow the problem when we have the least amount of actual control in the industry and everyone's constantly punching down at the gamer and acting like we somehow are these massive overlords that have this wieldy power that we can actually do anything in the industry besides just not pay you for your video games. Just enough with the nonsense. Think about it from this perspective. Think about the fact that all gamers, every gamer, is under a constant attack. So when individual developers or media members get a brief attack, okay, well then they can duck back under cover. And they get the media shield around them, protecting them. Gamers just keep getting hammered and keep getting pelted. And we can't even fight back. We're expected to sit there and shut up and take it. And developers apparently can say anything they want about us and to us. But if we retaliate, we're overly sensitive. And there can be no retaliation against the sainted developers. Anyway, that's it for me, Coach Toolshed. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Please subscribe. If you want to stay in tune with the channel headed forward, and as always, keep it turned to 11.